Who you choose to partner with in life determines all of your happiness and misery. There's an enormous difference between falling in love and growing in love. And we live in this day and age where like social media has convinced us that the falling is what life is. It's like the Instagram vacations, it's the beautiful manicured pictures, the Lightroom edited, everything looking perfect. That is not what life is.
Finding a partner can be challenging, and there could be many reasons why you might be having difficulty. It could be related to timing, circumstances, or maybe you haven't found the right person yet. It's important to remember that everyone's journey is different, and it's okay to take your time. It's also important, I think, to lead a fulfilling life outside of the dating world, pursue your own interests, do things that make you feel happy and fulfilled.
Yeah, because whilst doing those things, you might actually meet somebody who also enjoys those things.
Yes, exactly. Well, that would be good, wouldn't it? You already have that mutual interest.
Absolutely. Reflecting on what you're looking for in a partner, actively engaging in social activities or communities where you might meet like-minded individuals, and being open to new experiences can increase your chances of finding someone compatible. It's really important to get yourself out there. If you're sort of really sad and at home, Prince Charming isn't going to come knocking.
No, it's unlikely, isn't it?
Unless he's a Deliveroo driver or something. You know, you could go to a museum, join a club, volunteer. Don't do things just because you think, oh, I need to go there because there'll be some hot guys there. Well, you could, I suppose.
Well, I mean,
give it a go.
Could, yeah, I guess you could. But I think it's more interesting to go because it interests you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then other people will be interested in it too.
If you're single and you're looking to meet someone, ask yourself the question, how do people find me? Because many of you make it incredibly difficult for people to meet you. If you're not talking to people, getting fixed up, putting yourself on dating apps, it's going to be very hard for you to meet people, and it's going to be very hard for them to meet you. And I know this is scary. You have to remember, anyone who gets an invitation to be in your life is one of the luckiest people in the world. You just have to let people know what you want, and you have to start talking to the people you want to meet so you can find them.
I think it's just good to put yourself in situations that increase your chances.
I think so too, yeah.
And also have a great time along the way.
Because it should be a fun time, you know, the time when you're dating, and I know it's fraught with problems, but it is fun too.
Yeah, it should be fun. I think it's important that we don't lose that as a society. I think that we are kind of losing that this is supposed to be a really important but really, really special and memorable time in a relationship before things get kind of more serious as the relationship goes on. And it's a great time to build a really special bond.
Dating should be a lot more fun. People should not stress out so much about whether or not this is going to work, because if you're dating them, you have no idea what's going to happen or how they're going to impact your life. So just go play.
I think one thing that is super attractive is confidence.
Yes.
It's very hard to just be confident, but I think if we're all working on our self-esteem, our self-worth behind the scenes, that can really help to project a confident image to those around us and to potential dates.
I try and act confident even if I'm feeling a bit nervous.
Yeah.
And then I find that as I get started, I actually do feel more confident.
The one thing you're missing when it comes to attracting women is making them feel comfortable. You see, when you're giving a woman nervous, skittish energy and she picks up on this, it's impossible for her to be comfortable in your presence. So when you go up to her and you're looking both ways and you're stuttering your words and you're not looking her in the eyes, this is automatically going to turn her off. Now, there's two ways that you're going to fix this problem. The first thing is you got to pay attention to your nonverbal communication. So your eye contact, the way your body is positioned to her, the words that are coming out of your mouth. Are you stuttering? Are you confident when you speak? The more you're mindful of these things, the more comfortable she's going to be. And then the second thing is just being present in the moment. So that means you're not worried about what happened yesterday. Before you go on a date with her, before you get into a conversation with her, you're not trying to predict these things. You're taking them as they come, and you're going to be in the present moment and say the things that you feel like need to come out of your mouth.
I think one good tip if you are someone who feels nervous is to ask the other person questions. Maybe have a few in your head before you go. So tell me about you. What do you do? Anything really. Whatever you're into. Do you have any pets? Those type of things. The other person starts to talk and you can just be an active listener. I think that can be quite helpful, at least at the beginning, so you don't feel like you have to say anything particularly
it's
smart
always,
or funny.
It's always nerve-wracking to have sort of a long dialogue, isn't it?
Yeah.
I find that. And the question is a great idea because it gives you a chance to sort of bit of breathing space and then respond.
I mean, I think it just shows that you're a kind, courteous individual, and at the same time, confident, ask your question boldly, don't tiptoe around it, have it prepared beforehand.
Yeah, nothing too deep.
Oh no, probably not for the first date.
No. However, I would just say avoid being overconfident because that can come across as being arrogant. The next one is be genuine. Be true to yourself and your values. Don't try and be somebody that you're not.
It's very easy, especially if you are feeling nervous, to try and project an image to that person of something other than yourself. But again, I think if you're just working on your self-esteem, then these things kind of fall together more naturally.
Because if you do get the date, you've then got to keep that up, and it's very difficult to keep faking it, isn't it?
Yeah. And if you're not compatible in your values, then it's kind of important to know that pretty quickly, I would say. Doesn't mean that the other person is bad or wrong, or that you're bad or wrong. It just might mean that maybe you're not aligned.
You are not for everyone, and that's okay. I know there were times in my life where if someone I wanted didn't like me back or went cold, I would take that to be a reflection of my value or how attractive I was, or that I had failed in attracting this person, that I had made a mistake, that I'd done something stupid that I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have said that, or I should have done this. But remember this, if we're being an authentic version of ourselves, we will get rejected. It's not just normal, it should be expected, because when we're bringing all of ourselves to the table, we won't be for everybody. And that has nothing to do with our worth. It has to do with everybody else's taste. Because here's the thing, dating and love is not a popularity contest. If you're being intentional about finding a relationship, you don't need everyone, you just need one.
You're not a match. You're not a match with everybody. Just move on. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend go for somebody who allows you to be yourself, your real authentic self with all your follies and foibles. Allows you to be vulnerable, just as we as humans always are.
The next one is take care of yourself. Show that you value yourself by taking care of your physical and emotional well-being. We tell others how to treat us by how we treat ourselves, I think. And so when you're out there meeting people, that's kind of the image you want to give off, that I am someone to be valued and cherished.
We got your hygiene guy. That's the guy who take multiple showers. That's the guy who owns a lot of body creams, fancy colognes. He always smell good. Those type of guys turn women on. I know one thing for certain though, if a girl feeling you and then she get a whiff of your stank ass, but you gonna run the other way so fast.
If your self-esteem is very low, then your body language is going to portray that, and you might not be approached by somebody who you want to be approached by.
Yeah. If you're closed off, you're kind of giving the signals that you don't want to be approached.
Yeah.
Maybe some days you don't, but if you do, then it's important, I think, to learn how to open up a little bit physically, and then of course socially as well. The next suggestion is flirt subtly.
33 isn't exactly...
And what had Jesus done by 33?
Died.
Exactly, so get out there and flirt.
Maybe by giving a gentle compliment, maybe by making eye contact, maybe a little bit of playful banter. Nothing that's going to be intimidating to the other person. You know, you don't want to be too touchy-feely or too...
obvious, like you're sort of flaunting it.
Yeah, or just like kind of creepy comments, you know, that kind of thing are all obviously things to avoid. But I do think like a little gentle flirting is just a good way to get the ball rolling.
This is one of the juiciest flirting hacks I have ever learned in my career as a relationship expert. If you want a man to be attracted to you, wear lipstick, pink or red, doesn't matter, but make sure there's a gloss on top. Now you might be wondering, but Kimberly, like, why would I do that? This is why.
The next one is have a positive attitude. I know sometimes it's easier said than done, but thinking about the good things in your life and the things you enjoy, think, oh, well, I've got this, I've got, I don't know, a lovely family, lots of good friends, I like my job, or whatever it is, you know, oh, I've got great hair, or shame about the rest. But, you know, just think of all the positive things and try and just push those negativities aside, because it will reflect on your demeanour and your expression.
Definitely, I think that's really important when you're choosing topics of conversation, to try and pick ones that are more kind of light, upbeat, at least at first. Of course, if the relationship develops, then you want someone who you can express and vent with sometimes. But the courting phase, I think, is supposed to be a light-hearted time of your relationship when all the cares outside of the two of you can be put to one side and you just learn to enjoy each other's company and learn a little more about each other. I think it's a great opportunity to bring to the forefront all the things that we have to be grateful for, and I'm sure if we all really think about it, we can find a few things to be grateful for that we can bring into conversation with a potential partner. Maybe you're feeling like, oh, I just can't think of anything positive right now. Maybe that's a sign that this isn't the time to be pursuing a relationship. Maybe this is the time to work on yourself and your life outside of that. And so you can feel like, okay, I'm in a good situation now, I can bring someone else into this.
Nothing is more attractive than this. After a date with a guy, whether it's a first date, second date, or 100th date, or if you're in a relationship, nothing's more attractive than whenever you see that guy, most of the time, I'd say at least 9 out of 10 times, when you go home, you feel even better than before you went on a date with the guy. You want a guy that's bringing positive, healthy, vibrant, sexy energy to your life. And if he's not, might be time to let him go.
The next one is be patient. Finding the right person can take some time. I think if you're feeling stressed, like, oh, I need a relationship now, you're going to bring that energy to the table.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, that can scare a lot of potential partners off.
Yeah, I think if you come across too needy, that is a big turn off.
Don't try to force things. If somebody's showing signs early on that they're not the best person for you, take those. There's that quote from BoJack Horseman, when you're wearing rose-colored glasses, all the red flags just look like flags. A lot of times I just so badly wanted to not be alone and have a company of another person and let myself get treated badly and let a lot of things slide that I probably should have caught on early on, that this isn't somebody you should obsess over for the next year. Creating boundaries for myself was a really easy way for me to weed out somebody who was not someone that I should be with.
But just to try and get somebody for the sake of having somebody and not being on your own, it doesn't always work. And it's funny, but often people meet their partners in the most unlikely places, not like online or at a nightclub or in a bar, in all sorts of situations.
If you knew you had like 5 other people who wanted to date you, love you, treat you the way you deserve to be treated right now, and you were attracted to these people, would you still be dating the same person? And if the answer is no, the question is, why is being with this person better than being alone?
And I think if you're not being patient, it can very often lead to us making the wrong decision, choosing someone for the sake of having someone who maybe isn't right for us. And maybe if you don't grow together over time, you can actually feel a bit resentful, like, oh, I've wasted this time on this person that wasn't really right for me, and I always kind of felt it, but I was just trying so hard to make it work.
Stay away from being love blinded. Do not dismiss logic over love. Now, for any man that's been in a relationship, you know that it is very easy to start dismissing red flags, to start taking things for granted, to start being naive when you are in love with a woman. To the point where you'll even go into denial over things you know are true or they're sketchy, and you'll convince yourself that it's no big deal in the name of love. It sounds crazy, but you know what I mean. So always hold on to logic. When you get into relationships, always realize that there's a possibility that it's not going to work out one day, right?
I understand that if you get to the age where your body clock is kind of ticking and you really want to settle down and have a family, that is so stressful. But it is wrong to just stay with somebody because you think, oh, well, I really want to settle down and have a family with them. Because if you're not happy and he's not happy, it's not really going to work, is it? And bringing children into that, I mean, having a baby is quite stressful, and it's really important to have a secure relationship, as the woman of experience.
I know, it's like the understatement of the year.
And if your relationship isn't right, it's a huge pressure on it. It isn't always the fact that having a child together will bring you closer. In fact, it can drive you apart if you haven't got a good relationship to start with.
If you're too scared to be alone, so you're willing to accept something else, then you're settling, and that makes you lesser. You should have enough love for yourself that you can live by yourself and not feel that you have to go with somebody else's plan.
I think as much as we can, we need to enjoy the journey. of dating and finding the right person. Learn about ourselves along the way, learn to embrace the new experiences that it might bring.
Keep your options open, because you may be surprised that the person you actually find you're the most compatible with is not the person you thought you'd be most compatible with.
Yeah, don't rule people out for silly reasons.
Yeah.
You know, give them a chance, and if it doesn't work, then end the situation early, I would say.
And if you're getting really hung up with the dating app, maybe give that a break for a bit, because you spend a lot of time, you know, swiping and texting and all this stuff where you could be out there enjoying yourself.
Yeah, it doesn't really fulfill the social need, I don't think, that humans have in the same way as meeting people in person does. I'm not saying that dating actually ruled out entirely. I think there's a time and a place, and it does work sometimes.
Of course.
But I think it can be quite a sad place for a lot of people, and I think giving yourself a break from it to actually get out in the real world can be really beneficial.
Yes, I think so.
If you are feeling down and sad, please just remember that there are people out there that you can talk to. There are professionals who are trained who can help you in your particular situation. You're never alone.
Please let us know if you agree with our advice. If you've got other suggestions that we haven't mentioned, please drop them down in the comments section below. We really enjoy reading your comments and hearing from you. Please keep them respectful, and we will respond likewise.
Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, then please give us a like, maybe share with a friend, and hit subscribe to follow us on YouTube.